So lastly, we're going to set everything up together. So we've got the ARM, and we've got the control with the kind of switch ready to go, and now we're going to set it all up with SetdrivenKeys. So ultimately, the idea is that when the switch is FK, we want the ARM. I'm just having trouble selecting the because the filter was on. When the switch is FK, we basically want the constraints, the orient constraints, to be aligned with FK, so IK is off. And then when the switch is IK, we want all the joints of the arm to be in line with IK. So all it's doing is this switch is controlling the constraints, what those values 0 and 1 are. Okay, it's a bit of a process that you have to go through, but it's nothing complicated. You're just kind of setting everything up. So let's have a go then. Again, make sure you're in animation and go to animate SetdrivenKey set. So again, from doing this a number of times, this is the process that you use to set up SetdrivenKeys. This is obviously the driver, so if you select the control load driver, and it's the IK FK switch is the driver. Okay. Now, the driven is not actually the ARM, although what we're trying to get to are these constraint controls that are listed here. The best way of getting to them is by selecting the orient constraints themselves. Okay, this is how we get directly to the 0 and 1 values of the constraints. Okay. Before we go ahead and do that, I just want to key in the min and max position of the switch, just so that we're making things a little easier for ourselves before we go in. So at frame 1, I'm just going to right click and key selected. So we're on FK at frame 1 and IK, key that again, IK at frame 10. So if I just scrub FK frame 1, IK frame 10. So that just makes it easy to switch between. Okay. So in the outliner, let's go to the upper arm constraint first, so you can see that there. Load it in as driven, and you'll see in the values we've got these two IKFK exposed here. Okay. So frame 1, we know it's FK, so we want the value to be FK1, IK off. Okay, key that. At frame 10, the switch is at IK, so we want FK off, IK on, and then hit key again. Oops, key again. So now that we scrub, you will see the arm here jump between FK and IK. So we know that's starting to work. Okay, so that's the upper arm. Now let's do the elbow. Load in the driven, and again we need to expose the IKFK switch. That's what we're controlling. Frame 1 we know is FK, so we're going to go into the channel box. FK is 1, IK is off. Key that. Go to frame 10 where the switch is IK, so we're going to take FK off and IK on and key that. So now the elbow and the upper arm have been done, and now in the outliner we're going to get to the hand orient constraint, load driven, and again expose these two constraint controls that we set up. Again, go to frame 1 where we know the switch is FK, and make the FK1, which is on, and IK is off, and key that. And then at frame 10 we know it's IK, so FK off, IK on. So we're just setting up and key that. So we can now close that, and if I scrub now, you can see the purple is the sign that the arm is switching between them. Okay. So now I can delete those keys on the switch. And literally the switch, if I go to IK, you can see the hand move to IK. If I can go to the control and switch to FK, it jumps up. Okay, so that's the switch already set up quite nicely. And literally what you can do is, this is the IK hand, so you can set up the IK controls, and wherever these are moved, in fact, let me just quickly do it. I'm just going to IK handle tool, rotate plane. Let's try and get in there. Let's expose ourselves. So we want IK. Yeah, right. IK handle tool. So it's from there to the hand. Okay. And you can see that's the IK handle here. So this is our control for the IK arm, and I've just moved it in space. So if I then switch to it, you will see it's now controlling the hand. Okay, so that's now fully over to IK, and obviously I can move the FK wherever I want to and bend the hand down, and if I switch over to FK, everything works quite nicely. Okay, so that's the full switching and the controls that you can set up. Okay, so just to make sure that you leave it all intact, ready for putting in your IK, you can just zero everything out so that it's all back to the default position and they're all nicely aligned. There you go. Upper arm. So that's all zeroed out. So that's the full switching, and that's done with SetdrivenKeys switching between both IK and FK.